We'll call the regular city council meeting of January 5th, 2022 to order at 7 p.m. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Copeland,
Here.
Tom Baylor,
Here.
Kathy Sherman is absent, Jeff Guard,
Here.
Melina Meyer is absent, Ann Schaefer,
Here.
David Allison,
Here.
David Gleason.
Here.
It's a quorum of council.
To approve the regular agenda. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved as submitted. Does council have any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications to disclose? Okay, hearing none. Guest speakers. Dr. Sanders, do we have you on for a COVID-19 update? Okay. Are there any audience comments regarding agenda items?
Come on, audience.
Yeah, for those of you online, we have Sam Greenwood and Tony Chanella in the audience tonight, and that's it. Chairpersons and representatives of boards and commissions, CCMC Authority Board report. Okay, do we have a school board rep? Okay, and of course, no student council rep, so approval of the consent calendar, there's just one item. Anyone want to pull that item? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
Kathy Sherman is absent, David Gleason,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Jeff Guard,
Yes.
Melina Meyer is absent, Dave Allison.
Yes.
This is Melina. I'm here.
Oh, Melina, sorry. You, and your vote was yes?
I just logged on.
Okay,
But yes.
okay, we're doing the consent. Consent calendar's approved.
Okay, and just for the record, that was, the council waived the right to protest the renewal of the beverage dispensary license number 40 and package store license number 41 for the Alaskan Hotel and Bar. We have no minutes or bids on this agenda. Reports of officers, mayor's report. I have none this evening, unless there's any questions. The city manager's report.
Okay, we're starting a new year, and let's hope it proceeds pleasantly and without heartache and COVID being worse than it already has been. With that, I want to give you an update on the audit. The audit draft will be in front of me in a week. We will have the audit before you, final audit before you, the first meeting in February. And alongside that, financial status of where we're at with financial reports, and we'll start work sessions, as you guys have all indicated an interest in making sure we understand what the different funds are, how we've invested things. So consider February the month where we'll start really digging in on the finances, because I'll have more information to share. Infrastructure, federal infrastructure programs that are becoming available, there's still not much on the street yet, but staff is actively looking for grants and is getting itself poised and ready to take advantage of any grants that come our way, including updating reports, engineering various and sundry things that have been done in the past, but perhaps have languished because we didn't have resources to make those available and get those on the ground. So we're actively pursuing that as well. I'm going to turn over the floor. I would love a harbor update because we've got Tony here to talk a little bit about maybe where things stand with the Harbor grants, and Sam as well, and I know the two of you work on a team on that. Sam also has a snow report, so we'll have them both come up and chat a bit about the status of things for the public's interest.
Okay, are they gonna be able to hear me clear over there?
Oh, yeah.
I'm with the guys on the phone, not you.
You
Only
can,
talk loud.
you can sit closer.
So I guess I'll start off with snow. I don't know where it is, but I know it's still coming. It hasn't been here for a while. So I just give you a little rundown on kind of what we're focusing on, widening the roads, trying to knock down the berms on the corners, cleaning up snow piles. Today, we were gonna haul snow from behind the library, but the hook truck, itty bitty part was frozen and shattered. And so tomorrow we'll start with 2 dump trucks and 2 loaders. We'll load the trucks, get that area a little bit cleared out and take it down to the Southville. It's gonna be a little bit of a get into the groove in the beginning, and then I think it'll go pretty.
Did we get an additional loader?
We have rented a loader from Anchorage. It's here, it's chained up, it's working. We have a on-call temporary operator who's working, and he is focusing a lot on snow piles, and he's also an amazing grader operator. So like I mentioned last time, we have to grade the road and open the road from the airport to 17 miles to the landfill. The state does not maintain that, especially right now, they're short, and they don't have the time to keep that open, so that becomes a knot when there's a lot of snow in town and they need to get out to the trash, so that's been super helpful to have them on board. We are also, let's see what else. We still have an open on-call list for operators if people are interested. We did close the snow dump on the bottom of Council and 4th. I don't know if you guys saw that. And it's because eventually, when it gets that much, it starts rolling down into people's houses below. So we're not hauling, we're moving it to that area on the corner, and some of it to the high school, but most old high school, but most of it's going to that corner lot where the creek is. Just up there. So that's kind of our focus right now. We'd really like to get that lot behind the Pioneer Square down before the next event. But as I've learned, equipment is extremely finicky, and it only breaks when you really need it. So, I guess for the harbor.
So if you haven't heard, we didn't get the PIDP grant, which was the extra money we were hoping to subsidize our other grants. We have the raise, and then we have, of course, the state grant with our $5 million bond. So we've been in the process of whittling down our project we're going to do with the Harbor Commission and prioritize what we want to do, the top 3 priorities, if we don't have enough money to do the whole project, which at this time we don't. So we prioritized, of course, replace docks. That's our first thing. Without docks, we don't have customers. And then we would drive down, and then the other one was sheet pile. Yeah, upland sheet pile. So we whittled those down to our priorities on that. We have started having Sam Curtis and then Mark Keller, which is right now the project manager, to get this project off the ground. We've been having weekly meetings on that with him, going through lists. Sam's been sending out lists and to-do lists, and yeah, giving us all work lists of what we got to do and information and everything on that. So, and then we have Solstice Alaska. They are doing the, was it EA?
They're starting the pre-work on the environment. The environmental work's amazing, but the pre-work on the environmental permits, so we have to do an EA, which is an environmental assessment. We're assuming that's what we have to do. The Corps and others could say we have to do an EIS, but it doesn't seem like that's very likely. And then we have to get permits they're called harassment permits because of the sea otters in the harbor. Yeah, so those can take a seriously long time. So we've pulled Robin, her name's Robin, on to start moving forward on that, because you can't get a contract without permitting. So we're trying to just get ahead of the game as much as we can, trying to keep things moving as quickly as we can. We did get a letter from Ray's.
Yeah, official letter
Welcoming us aboard and telling us that our grant administrator would be in touch with us within a month. So we still have no real agreement in place with them. I have a million questions to ask them about that letter and how things are going to work and how we're going to do things. And then Tony mentioned Mark Keller, who's an amazing guy who has done some really large projects, including projects in Alaska, in Huna. He did,
I think 1 and 2?
1 and 2 Huna.
The cruise ships in Huna.
Yeah, and a zip line, which we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, how do we get that in the project?
But he has 49 years of experience as a project manager from start, like where we're at, all the way to completion. And so he is helping us figure out what we need to do and how we're moving forward. And right now, our number one priority, and I hope to have a contract in front of you guys on the February 2nd meeting, is to hire a Marine independent reviewer, grant administrator. This is all one contract, and they would do a geotech study. And the logic behind doing a geotech study in that South Harbor is the cleaner, the more information and the more understanding, especially with the piles that you can provide, the tighter the bid could be. You know, if you're like, yeah, we don't know what the harbor looks like, you know, they did that in 1983 and they hit bedrock once. And then they're gonna be like, ah, and they're gonna have, you know, their bid's gonna be much larger spread. So he helped us write the meat of the RFP. I kind of did some editing, put our kind of stuff into it in contract, and so we'll see where that comes. And then they will also provide us support throughout the whole project and the creation of the RFP for the big project. And then Mark will continue to guide us through and make sure we're on track. So he's like my little guardian angel, because I was pretty nervous about what do we do next?
And do you want to explain a little bit about the contract we have with Mark at the moment? It's a short contract, under $25,000, just so you all know, specifically to hold our hand to help us understand the process ahead. And we won't be doing any major contracts, of course, without council approval. And so at this moment in time, it was strictly a what do we do next? How do we get off the ground? And getting the real expertise from Mark to help us tread this yet unknown waters has been really helpful to the team. So
yeah. And
we've been talking in our weekly meetings that we will start doing like either a monthly update to council. I remember like when the Cordova Center came around, I think it was monthly, maybe it was every meeting. We'll update on the harbor progress so you guys can be in the loop. And we can do the same for the harbor commission. We're working on a mug up for the $2 million clean water loan. We will probably do something mid-February and then something late February, kind of like we did with the refuse equipment to hit loaders. Yeah, just a lot of talking and trying to understand and moving through progress. But we've made so much progress in the last, has it only been 3 weeks?
I think it's been about 3 weeks, but there's a lot more to it than I ever thought there would be.
And Mark's just helped us get there. So, we're up for any questions if you guys have any. Yes.
So, first, I'd just like to say you guys are just doing a great job with snow removal.
Thank you.
And let your guys know
You know, they're just doing a great job. I've been watching them and they're pretty efficient. So, then the other thing, is it like a year away from starting the project?
At least a year.
That permitting,
Yeah. Nine-
that is gonna dictate how long, you can't start a construction project without permits.
Tell you what, you call Gloria Cunningham, tell her to turn her boys loose down there in the harbor and you won't have a sea otter problem.
Yeah.
Be a whole bunch of hats.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I wrote that.
Do you expect this, Mark, gentlemen, to see this project through start to finish? Is that your hope, or?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Sam said, he has done some big, even,
Big.
for Samsung, he did billion-dollar projects. I mean, on factories and facilities and.
We're gonna have to find some housing?
He's based in Seattle. He assumes he's going to work remotely with a local,
Yeah.
you want to explain that?
Yeah, so, I mean, the idea would be he would work remote, with trips, not never come. And then for the daily kind of things, we would figure it out, you know, Tony, we hire somebody, you know, we haven't gotten that far down the road yet. We're still trying to get there. I think his experience and his experience with working with contractors is pretty amazing in Alaska as well as other places, and so I feel pretty confident and comfortable with him being in Seattle. And, you know, he's not afraid to take blame right
I'm
away.
having a really hard time hearing anything.
I was just gonna ask that, Councilman Guard, so you could scoot up
Yeah,
here, Sam,
Tammy
if you
can
would,
come up.
please.
Move your-
Well, do I have to repeat it all? What, did you hear anything, Jeff?
Nom, 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 nom.
Why did you wait so long?
Yeah.
Well, did you hear the snow report?
Yeah, I got the gist of most of it. It speaks softly sometimes and then fade out and go away.
Yeah, I know.
You start here and you go down.
I know, I know. I try not to, but I feel like I'm yelling when I start here. So eventually I go back to normal. I think we were just kind of talking about timeframes. It's at least a year out before actual construction, maybe longer, mostly due to permitting things. And then Tom asked about Mark Keller, who is under a short-term contract with us right now to help us move forward and do everything we can do to get this project moving. If he would be a long-term project manager, and the goal would be yes on that. And he would be remote, and so we would have to work through how that would all function, but feel pretty comfortable with him because of his experience. What else? I think that's kind of a summary.
The only other thing that we mentioned is that we are working with, trying to talk with the EDA
Right, I wanted to say that.
to see if they're still willing to give us some money for a standalone project. We looked at that, we figured like J&K would be our standalone project, because basically half the South Harbor is J&K for slips, 247 slips or something like that. So, besides that slip.
Yeah, and their criteria requires, you know, specific
Right.
things, and so having that ability to put it into one project is important.
And their financial responsibilities that they put on the recipient of their grants is higher than the raise grants, so we're hoping to not have to mingle those funds into a project that would make it more difficult on us.
Yeah, the finance is gonna be interesting. What you think. Okay.
Just a suggestion too is maybe talking with CEC, or not CTC, about upgrading cameras. You know, if this guy's working remote.
Good
you know,
idea. Yeah,
So
good
he can
idea.
just punch in and have those conversations.
Yeah, good thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see us out there with our iPads. while-
We might have to.
But that's a great idea.
Yeah, more
that-
cameras.
Yeah.
Especially if it was like a cam where you could just log in.
Right, you can log into it anywhere, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah.
I ask a quick question here?
Of course.
What? Okay, I missed what the scope of, I understand we didn't get all the grants we wanted to. Our bucket of money isn't completely full. So what are we looking at being able to do with what we have?
Well, what we've done so far is prioritize the, the project and what we want to be able to do. And right now, we have, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, enough money to do the docks, replace all of the docks in the South Harbor, including the gangways, upgrading not sewer, sorry.
Water, fire, water, and electricity.
Yes. And the drive down?
Yep. In the drive.
So,
No,
no, we do not have.
that would be we would maybe have to cut that out. So.
Yeah, right now, that's the one that goes first. But the great thing is that it's so compartmentalized that it's kind of easy to do that. You could still, you know, hopefully design to be able to do that in the future. Or maybe a design person would come up with a way to do something, a partial sheet pile or, you know, so. And then we're also working with EDA, I don't know if you heard that, Jeff, for additional funding. Of course, we got the clean water money if the vote passes, and we'll keep out there hammering. I don't know if city council, if we look at legislative requests, I don't know how those work exactly, but.
And what is the total now that we have available for everyone's information?
We have 30 million.
30 million then.
And the $2 million is ours when the vote passes, when and if the vote passes.
Yeah.
So, 32 million, March 1st.
Plus a little bit out of the harbor account.
Correct. We have-
But that's going to be used on a lot of
Yeah.
other parts getting there.
Yep.
It's kind of
So where does
astounding.
this leave us for the floats and fingers and stuff?
That would be, we do a complete replacement no matter what. We're going to do a complete replacement of the finger floats,
Yeah.
the main floats.
That is the #1 priority.
Yeah.
That will get done.
Okay, I got docks and drive downs and that, but I didn't hear floats.
Well, docks to me is every piece of wood in the harbor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it'll basically be gutted and redone.
So you do that one at a
Thank you
time?
very much.
Well, when they did the north side, it was all at once. They pulled everything.
Oh,
all at
okay.
once.
That's
gonna be-
good to know, so people are gonna have to yank their boats.
It's going to be a chess game to figure out what we're going to do with all the boats.
Yeah.
Because there's twice as many on this side than there is on that side.
And bigger.
And bigger, yeah.
And that's another project in the future.
Yeah. We'll have to
Another
figure
thing
that
I
out
was-
with the core fleet people and all that, because they can't be out that long.
Just anchor up.
Okay.
Other questions, council, online, in the room? Okay, did you have other things in your report, Cal?
The only other thing is, we are putting out a public communication. We've inquired of the garbage guys, our streets guys, to offer tips for the public about how to handle the snow appropriately to help our crews deliver the services that are expected. So we'll have a little cheat sheet of what can you do to help. We also will be looking to be able to provide resources, at least information to the public if they're having issues with shoveling their roofs. I know we're expecting some wet weather that's going to add a lot of weight to the snow that are on folks' roofs and structures. We don't want to see any buildings collapse, so we'll be getting some public communication out about that. But if anybody's in need of help or doesn't know where to turn, we will hopefully be able to provide some information of able bodies that are willing to shovel roofs for a cost, or some tips. We just want to make sure everyone's safe and that our crews are able to provide the services that are needed to keep this community going. So be looking for that, and that's it.
Okay, Councilman Bailey.
So in 2012, over at the school, grade school, with that flat playground roof, there was a conflict, misunderstanding who was responsible, and it ended up getting Has that been cleared? Is that situation?
All the buildings have been shoveled at least once.
Sorry.
It's okay, it's not your fault, it's mine. So all the public buildings have been done once, at least. Public safety, Bedarkey, high school, grade school, water treatment plant. Water treatment plant, public safety, and high school have been done twice. So, yes, we should be good. And I'll verify with Melvin, I'm sure it includes the playground, because that's a whole different roof structure than the building, right?
Right, and that's when it kind of fell
Yeah,
through
yeah.
cracks, literally cracks.
Yeah.
So, all
Okay,
right.
yeah, I'll check on that for sure, but, we're trying to be ahead of the game this time, hopefully.
Other questions, managers report, council? Okay, clerk's report.
I don't have anything.
What do we have? So we have mayor's seat, 3 council seats open, and the deadline's January 31st, is that right?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
And
And we have how many so far?
one person running for mayor, Wendy Rainey.
And none for the council seats?
We have none for anything.
Okay. Any questions for the clerk or any of the reports? Okay, hearing none. Correspondence in the packet. Any comments, council?
I think we pretty much covered some of the comments on the brewing at our last meeting.
We don't have any ordinance and resolutions or unfinished business on this agenda, so under new business, COVID-19 discussion, council?
Yeah, just a comment, we were traveling and we came back, waited 5 days, and my wife, it was very easy to make an appointment, go over and get tested, quick response, so just a shout out to the hospital and how lucky we are in Cordova to have that sort of service. She was negative.
Other discussion, council?
Yes, Selena.
Councilman Meyer?
I know that we don't have Dr. Sanders on tonight, but maybe we could pass along. It would be nice if we could get some information out about the at-home testing. Maybe like which one is easy to get. I saw that down in Juneau and other communities in Alaska, they're sending out a couple at-home tests to every household, but yeah, just a thought. I thought that was a great idea. It's past the holidays now, but they were kind of getting it pushed before the holidays, so people could just take a test before they went to a gathering. But it'd be nice if we could push some information out there, or possibly even get some of the tests handed out at the school or library or something.
Okay. Other discussion, council? Okay, pending agenda.
Were you able to talk to Bert at all? No?
Yeah, I was going to reach it. Clay was.
I'm gonna reach out to Bert.
That would be
I met with Ellen this afternoon, and want to get an update, yeah. And we do have, I'm gonna be talking to Representative Stutes, I'm not sure how yeah, I think we're still there. She's still a speaker, so I'll be talking with her this weekend, so any grant things or any priorities, let me know, and then it's a good time to be thinking about our CIP list as well, and any changes we might want to make there, but make sure we get those in our legislators' hands. And looks like with oil prices, things might be a little rosier in Juneau this year, so. Okey-doke.
Do we have, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Allison.
I just want to be sure we've got that, or I don't know what the status is of the resolution for the next agenda for RCAC.
She's been sending me the info, so that'll be on next time.
Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, I guess that, item number 8 on our pending calendar, I was assuming that we would have some of that on this, especially this short of agenda. You know, the financial planning, I understand that there's something to that, but the sales cap discussion, I don't see any reason why we couldn't have that next meeting. Council needs the information to look at and have a discussion, and maybe there's something we can do, and maybe there isn't, but until we get it in our hands in front of us. Like I've said before, there's a lot of construction headed this way, and we need to get out ahead of these crews and capture some of that money that's coming in. And we need to do it now. We don't want to wait till they bid jobs and then we come out and say, oh, by the way. And there's other avenues that we need to look at. So when we have these short agendas like this, it's 7:30, we're about done. We could then spend some time on that.
I think the clerk has a lot of historical information on that, and I think that, Susan could put some of that together for January.
Her plan is for that second meeting, because she's on vacation in 3 weeks, so we weren't able to get anything between the last meeting and this meeting, but her plan is to try to have some stuff for that
Okay,
next
great.
meeting, or the very first week meeting in February, so she's actively putting that together.
And then, of course, the same goes with our investments. I see that's off of, we did get an email from the city manager, but it's off our pending agenda, unless that's falling underneath financial planning, I'm not sure, but.
It is, yes.
And that too could have been a discussion, and it's not a huge discussion. It's what are our expectations, where do we want to be, and once we come, I'll save it for my council comments.
Okay, audience participation? Not much audience tonight. Tony, Sam, anything? Okay, council comments, and we'll start online. Councilman Meyer?
No comments. Happy 2022, everyone.
Okay,
As to that.
Councilman Gard?
Thanks, Sam and Tony, for the update. Nothing else.
That's all we have online, right? Councilman Ellison?
Schaefer.
Oh, Schaefer,
Councilman
sorry.
Schaefer, sorry.
Schaefer's here. No, just big thank you to Sam and Tony for their updates on the harbor and snow.
Hey, Councilman Ellison?
Yeah, just thank to all the staff for their efforts and for the reports tonight, and thanks Tina for stepping in for Susan here. And yeah, looking forward to getting we got a lot to do. If you're gonna suck any more information out of this head before March. And we had a lot of things on the list. All of those tax issue things are all ordinance things. They don't have to go on the ballot unless, somebody wants to object to them. But again, we should advocate for the things we support. Most importantly to me, I guess, before I get out of here, is getting some audits, getting some RFPs for some more timely audits. There should be no reason we have to wait over a year for our audit to be done. Still looking for the financial breakdown of where our money is at and what account that belongs to. Where is the harbor's permanent fund money? Is it at NBA and the CD? Is it part of our sweep fund? Is it in our permanent fund? And that's just one example. All of the enterprise funds have their own little bucket there, and then our general fund has some of those buckets as well with the ambulance replacement fund, et cetera. So really want to see that. Been asking for that for better part of a year, and just can't seem to get that out of our system, so like to see that before we're done, because I'd really like to know how really are we doing, and are we managing our money right? And it goes back to what Councilman Baylor was saying with the what were you talking about?
From UBS and.
The UBS funds, yeah, or I guess an RFP for financial services as well is kind of where I was looking at that. And, you know, do we need 3 million in our sweep fund, or do we need 300,000 in our sweep fund, or do we need 7 million in our sweep fund? And where is that money, should that money be coming from? Because that money ain't making any interest. I don't think that should be the harbor's permanent fund or the closing the landfill fund out there. That, you know, we need to figure those things out. Because at some point in time, they're gonna want to use those funds. Sounds like Tony's planning on using some of those harbor funds pretty soon, and we need to find out where that money is coming from. And if, you know, if all of our obligations are leave our sweep fund at nothing, then we need to figure out what to do there. So anyway, all those things are things I'm looking at, hopefully getting an answer before and finding some solutions for prior to March. But March is coming up pretty darn quick. So.
Helen?
Yeah, I need to address it because I hear everyone's concerns around this, and I could not echo those concerns more. There's nothing worse than not understanding where we are financially. We unfortunately, and it's on me, and I have no problem acknowledging that, but we have not had competent financial staff to provide the reports you guys are looking for. We're close. But this audit is really going to give you the information you need to make those decisions. Without the audit, I have no confidence in the numbers. So if you guys could bear with me a little bit longer, by the first meeting in February, we're going to have the information you're looking for and you're looking for, and we'll be able to have really good conversations around what are the next steps, how do we proceed, where are the problems, what are we doing? Because I, quite frankly, have.
Except the audit we need now is the 2021 audit.
I know, and we're
still a year behind.
Well, we're working on the 2021 audit as we speak, which is kind of crazy because unfortunately COVID allowed these audit firms to, and the US government allowed them a 6-month reprieve, so everyone punted. People weren't working, people weren't, it just, 2020, everything around COVID has totally upset the apple cart. So I don't want to sound defensive, but I hear you all. I agree with you 1,000%. And I hope, not hope, but I promise we will have information to allow you guys to help make those decisions. I've got folks poised to help with those conversations so that you guys have all the information you need from knowledgeable parties. So we'll get that taken care of in February. I would say the second meeting in February, and maybe we'll have some work sessions. So I just want to clear the air there because it's not being ignored.
Yeah, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody in particular. I'm just
and I'll take it.
expressing the frustrations of,
Yeah.
you know, it's tough to make a decision here. Do we have $200,000?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
if I look at the checking account balance or call the bank and say, how much we got in FBA, and they say, $5,300,000. Oh yeah, I've got $200,000.
Yeah.
But if that 5 million really belongs to these guys and these guys and these guys, then I really don't have that money. So I you know, we just don't know.
So the audit will help immensely, and I'm looking forward to that document, which will provide information as much as anything else. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilman Gleason.
Great comments, Dave. I'd echo Dave's comments. And just thanks a lot, Sam, for the work you're doing, and Tony for all the work you're doing, getting that money for the harbor and everything.
And Curtis.
It's a big deal. You know, it's a really big deal. And the snow removal, we don't want to get that call again where you just got to stay in your house, you know, because you're buried. So you guys are doing great work there. That's it.
Hey, Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Snow removal in the harbor, congratulations, you guys. It's great, that sounds like you got a good project manager, because that's very important. Probably would have saved us millions on this building. So, and then my comments are on our UBS funds, and this is not for the manager directed at her, it's directed to my colleagues here at council. In my opinion, we're leaving a lot of money on the table by letting this thing run on autopilot. You know, since 1991, the S&P 500 has averaged 10.7%. Since 2001, it's averaged 7.45%. So I don't think it's unrealistic for us to sit down with UBS, whoever we choose, and say, look, we want to get at that 5% average mark. What do we need to get there? And they're going to tell us, well, you're going to have to change your investment policy. And then we need to take, not the manager, we need to take that up. We need to look at our investment policy. We need to assess how much risk we're willing to take and what it'll take to get to that 5%. Because we're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. The difference between 3% and 5%, you got 2% of $9 million, it's $180,000. 10 years, that's $1.8 million without any compound interest. So if you add interest on top of that, it even grows more. So it's a big deal, but we need to bring them to the table. We need to have a discussion. What's our risk tolerance? What's a reasonable amount of interest do we want to try to make? And it has to be a discussion with UBS that, you know, obviously we can't sit there and say, well, we want to have 15%, because that's not going to happen. But I think 5% is reasonable. What do we need to get there? And if we can get there and change our policy, we need to do it. We need to quit waiting year after year after year. We're losing money at that. We're losing money from all these tax write-offs and caps. That needs to be changed. You know, I think the manager's email said she's comfortable working with them and what they're paying. It's not what we're paying them, it's the performance that we're getting. We were really comfortable with our last park and rec person, and then we find out that we left 6% on the table. Well, it takes 12 years to double that 6%. You know, how many years did we leave 6%? So we need to be looking at these things. That's why you do RFPs. That's why you got some oversight. So I hope we can move this forward. It's not that big of a deal to have that discussion. And then it's going to take time for us to come back and change our investment policy, coordinate with them. This could be a 6-month process by the time they start making moves. So the sooner we get going, the better. Yeah, thanks for staff and everybody. Hope everybody had a good new year, and many more to come.
Okay, we don't have executive session tonight, so that leaves one item.
Oh, we don't have.
Second.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
Thought we're not, we were going to have the power. Did it get settled yet or no?